Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching our show. We appreciate all the great feedback. I know some of you are watching right now only in Bethel Park on Comcast 7. Thanks a lot. We appreciate that. The rest of Pittsburgh, it's Verizon 32 in the greater Pittsburgh area. So thanks for that. And on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, I thought we hit 2553 today when I saw it earlier today. So thanks for all those likes. It's much more than I thought. 1 year we've been doing it, so that's fantastic. We've got a lot of great sports to talk about, of course. That's why you're watching it. And then you can call us at 412-831-3304. I got the phone ready. Whoop. Now we're ready. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip the Prophet Hayner. Smoking Jim Frazier. Zach Brenner, known as Little Z. We're all in the house, and we start out with our first segment, What's on Our Mind? Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the talking machine. I've been on this planet for 29 years, and what's on my mind is about to shock, appall, and stun the city all at the same time. And I'm going to tell you what's on my mind tonight, folks, and that is the best coach in the city of Pittsburgh of all the coaches right now is on the North Shore, and that's Clint Hurdle. And do you know how much it pains me to go on TV and sit here and tell you folks that the true best coach right now in the city of Pittsburgh is Clint Hurdle? And I'm just going to give you some facts right now. Coach Tomlin inherited a good, well-built team by Bill Cowher. Anybody at these four seats probably could have coached them to a Super Bowl. And the Penguins, coached by Dan Bylsma, he inherited another gold mine and took that team to a championship. So, and now what you're seeing is when they have to do it on their own by themselves, the Steelers are mediocre right now. The Penguins can't get over the hump. Team USA couldn't get over the hump. And right now, and Jamie Dixon over there in Oakland, he's another one that can't get over the hump. But the only one right now that can legitimately say that he's getting over the hump is Clint Hurdle, the manager for your Buccos, the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that's what's on my mind, folks. The best coach in the city right now is Clint Hurdle.
Wow, what a turnaround. I can't wait to revisit some of those points there.
I feel like a proud papa right now.
All right, Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Hey, I got that pen.
you got to see Levine. But, hey, what's on my mind, of course, is the great Jason Worilds. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in financial problems because of poor drafting. Prior to last draft, I talked to the Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker coach and the coach in waiting for defensive coordinator, Keith Butler, who's a friend of mine. He would be horrible as a defensive coordinator, by the way. Hey, Keith. But he told me before the draft that Jason Worilds was ready, you know, to inherit the position from James Harrison. So what does the Pittsburgh Steelers do? A mediocre team the year before, 8-8. They go ahead and draft Jarvis Jones, who I would pay money to see Jarvis Jones race Michael Sams. It'd be a photo finish, 4.92 versus 4.91. I'd love to see that race. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are not only in position because of what they did then. Don't forget Coach Mike Tomlin's first year and Kevin Colbert's basically first year because Bill Cowher was the GM during the glory years and not Kevin Colbert. The first year, they had James Harrison on the team. And they went out and drafted Lawrence Timmons to play outside linebacker, which caused a problem then. Even though Lawrence Timmons went inside, now you had to pay James Harrison outside linebacker money. You're already paying Lawrence Timmons outside linebacker money. And then to stack things on further, they went out and drafted Lamar Woodley, who's been making Hall of Fame outside linebacker money ever since. So that's what's on my mind right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I give Jason Worilds credit for signing the tender that's going to pay him around $10 million. I did some research today. And if you look at the top 50 NFL free agents, and this is ranked by most of the analysts that rank these things from the National Football League, Jason Worilds wasn't ranked in the top 50 of NFL available free agents. So that's why he signed that tender so quickly. Congratulations, Rich Jason Worilds. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Very informative.
Love it.
I'd like to see that race, by the way.
Me too.
In Africa. Being chased by a lion.
Some of the opinions here are only by the co-host here. I'd rather see him run downhill from Mount
Take him to
Washington.
Hazelwood and have him get chased by a pit bull.
I'd rather see him in Detroit getting chased by a whole team of lions.
Oh my goodness, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Chip the Prophet Hayner, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Alan. What's on my mind? I'm sitting here racking my brain today, and I'm thinking, okay, there's like a whole lot of nothing going on in sports right now. The Penguins are a little bit underachieving right now. They look like they need to make a move. But what's on my mind is I thought about what month is it? It's March. And what do we love about March?
It's madness.
March Madness. And that's what's got me thinking. And once again, I have to scratch my head because I'm wondering about the college basketball ranking system. And there's some things there that I never will understand. And here's what my point is. A team accomplished something that hasn't been accomplished in quite a long time. The Wichita State Shockers finished the regular season 31-0.
Wow.
Pretty impressive statistics. They've played 31 opponents and haven't lost to a single one of them. Then you've got the University of Florida, who's got 2 losses on their side of the ledger, but yet they're ranked number 1 and the undefeated team's ranked number 2. I'm never going to be able to figure that out. In my book, every day of the week, undefeated should be ranked number 1. And I think really, they should be. But, we've got the NCAA tournament coming up. And, it's time for everybody to start thinking about, their bracket polls. And, an omission of Pitt would be a pretty wise idea because, once again last night, they fell flat on their faces. And Jamie Dixon, I get the impression by listening to his interviews after the games that this man's job's on the line. And I think he's feeling a lot of pressure because, it's great. You can win 20 games every year if 13 of your first victories are against high school teams. If he would actually play Division One, if he would actually play Division One caliber of teams.
I'm holding back.
Maybe his team would be ready to peak at the end of the year instead of falling apart. But that's what's on my mind, Alan.
And that's why we have revisitation. We're all entitled to our own opinions, as you know. And we'll have a nice, lively revisitation. I'm ready to start now, but I do have a couple things on my mind. At least 2, anyhow. Last night we had some great guests. George, I don't know if you can focus in on that, please? Like a close-up? This is live TV, folks. Sometimes I'm speaking a different language.
And we're not getting it, George.
Well, anyhow, we met a nice group of girls here, ladies. These ladies are some of the toughest ladies that you could meet, and they play roller derby. Go on Facebook, like their page, Steel Hurtin'. That's their team. They're going to be playing Saturday night. If you order tickets now, it's $10. They pack the house with 700 people. They're out in Glenshaw. If we can get that close up there, there we go.
Well, now we're too close.
Could you pull back just slightly? Not that I know much about this stuff. Yeah, that was it. That's it.
Oh, man.
I got to read now. Now, they're supposed to be in Glenshaw. I don't see the address there. Chip, do you remember that?
Yes, I do. It's on
Here
East
it is.
Sutter Road, East Sutter Road.
1661 East Sutter Road, Glenshaw, PA. RompinRollerPittsburgh.info. You could go there. If you need other information, SteelCityRollerDerby.org. Check it out. These ladies, we want to see a couple of their games. We promised we'd be out there. This Saturday night, Smoking Jim and I, we're going to be at the Golden Glove Boxing at the Royal Place. right at 51 and 88. You can't miss it. It's the restaurant. If you're heading towards South Park, it's on the right. If you're heading towards downtown Pittsburgh, it's on the left. Do not call Smoking Jim. Do not text Smoking Jim.
Hey, please don't send an email.
I mean, I may or may not be there. You know, like who am I? Who am I? At least I know where the place is.
Well, you're Little Z. I didn't
I
forget
guess it
who
was
you are.
living. I guess maybe you know.
Well, we're still negotiating. I see you're in charge of security. You got so much play last night. You didn't know that Smoking Jim and I are announcing the games. Till Bill tried to force it out. Well, we're getting off
Well, I was
subject.
trying to announce the games, but somehow, you know, I'm
Bill,
in charge of
hold
security.
it. This is, folks, this is a little not what's on our mind. We got to settle this right now. Bill Miller contacted Little Z, offered him a position worth 10 times as much as Smoking Jim and I. He's now in charge of all the Pittsburgh Ranger football team's security.
Oh, congratulations.
We may do is it come out last night, Smoking Jim. I don't know if you were listening to Bill. One game. And that's what's on my mind.
Hey, you know what?
Let's start revisitation right now. What?
There's another head scratcher. Why does a football team need security? They're a football team, right?
No comment there, please.
The wife and kids in the stands need the security. Yeah.
They don't even bring them anymore.
Well, rumor has it when Smoker Jim Frazier comes to Still Valley, he's gonna need security. So they said, who better than to be your bodyguard than Kevin Costner?
Now you got your answer, Jim.
And that's not what's on our revisitation. Somehow that slipped under the radar there. They snuck that one in on me. Let me check that up. Okay, we covered that. On the revisitation, Little Z, you brought up about these
Wichita
coaches.
State plays
Well,
cupcakes.
wait. One of my best friends, Dave Brown from Wichita, Kansas, his dad helped to revive their football program with fundraisers and everything else. So shout out to the Browns in Kansas. Now the Shockers play some great basketball, but one of the things that I think is always suspect is the Jamie Dixon syndrome. That's where you get the Little Sisters of the Poor and their friends to play you.
North
and others.
Dakota State.
And some of those teams, you got to go by the quality of your opponent, too. Now, to me, it's a great honor to see a team go undefeated. Because no matter who you are, how many people can say they go undefeated?
The Dolphins.
Well, and
That's one.
And to defend Wichita State's, honor, this is also the same team that made it to the Final Four last year. So let's not, you don't make it to the Final Four by beating the Little Sisters of the Poor.
Where's my phone at? I gotta pull up their schedule.
Here's a shocker for everybody. It's a little.
The Wichita.
I'm piggybacking on Chip's trivia, but here's a shocker.
No, he didn't throw the trivia out.
Can you name two great NFL running backs from Wichita, Kansas? Hometown.
Yeah, because Dave Brown is friends with Barry Sanders.
There's one.
That's my buddy. He's
There's
friends
one.
with him.
There you go.
He can call him right now. I'll get my dumb phone out. We'll get him
Do
to
I
call.
got to call O.J. Simpson to get the name of the next one?
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Please don't.
Gail Sayers.
Hey, there go Chip. All right. That
This
side
side.
of the room. Beating us. That's the trivia side of the room. Come on, little.
Yeah.
How do you think I would miss
There's
on
a
Gail
lot
Sayers?
of there's a lot of
Your Steel
age.
Valley education.
There's a lot of age on the other side of the room. Sheesh.
Like fine
It
wine.
doesn't matter.
Sheesh.
The older we get, the better we get.
Sheesh.
It's
It
just like
doesn't.
a fine wine.
So what if I'm the oldest one on the panel? It doesn't matter.
You've
It's
been
all
around
relative.
longer than me. You've been absorbing more knowledge than
Well,
me.
I know people older than me
You
that
guys
didn't
come-
absorb that much.
How in the
to
heck
kind
would
of
I know who
speak-
Gail
to kind
Sayers
of-
is?
To kind of
How
speak
could
to
you not?
Jim's
I mean,
point
when you-
about the Steelers' problems at linebacker, here's the question that I think needs to be asked, and I know this is a move that can't be made until July because they can reduce their cap hit if they make him go away, is do you see Lamar Woodley in a Steelers uniform this fall?
No.
No.
He's
I mean-
gone in July.
I mean, that's before they release him.
Well, he's not going to be here. They're going to do it what saves them the most amount of money.
And it'll be after July, and
Thank
I
you.
think that'll cut his cap hit
Like
in
about
half.
six, yeah.
Yep, in almost in half.
So now you have Worrell's going to Lamar Woodley's position.
But you got to get linebacker money like that when you're paying a Hall of Fame amount of money, $51 million, and
maybe
you
they
can't
oughta-
play. You got to give it to somebody else.
Maybe they ought to just go straight linebacker, safety, cornerback. in the draft this year.
Retired. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, but it would have been
Who was
nice.
predicting
It would have
that?
been nice if he wouldn't have retired before the 2013 season. If he would have waited until after.
This wasn't part of it.
Good stuff.
But I think I alerted our fans to this like 6-7 months before it happened.
Yeah.
And said he wouldn't be back. Ike Taylor's not going to be back.
No, Ike will be back.
Ike will be back.
Ike
He's
will
not
be
gonna,
back.
I'm allowed to
You're
predict
crazy.
something where I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You guys say the craziest things, and I got to go, yes, sir. Ike's gone. Hey, Easy E, I know you're watching this. You better talk to your man Z here. What? I can't be.
I like Ike. We're going to start a new campaign.
Yeah, we got to keep Ike.
We're going to resurrect the
I'm
guy.
starting a
least we
campaign.
can
Ike
agree on
must
that.
go. Ike must go. Please go. Let Troy be a linebacker because he's been doing it anyhow. Get some young kids back here.
St. Joseph's
I'll
10
quit
years
looking
ago
at
went
this
undefeated. They went 27-0 in the 2003-2004 season. They were the first team to enter the tournament without a loss.
And that has something to do with Wichita State and the Shockers?
Yeah, because Wichita State is now 31
Then
and
they're
going
better.
into the
That-
tournament.
They're
Stay
better.
tuned to my trivia tonight.
You're preempting his trivia
it's all
time.
right.
Any more revisitation, Zach? You were chomping on the bit during the revisitation part.
Well, like, I'm just trying. I'm looking at these opponents.
scrolling, buddy?
I'm looking at these opponents for Wichita State, and I mean, they're not playing the kind of competition that Florida's playing. So
but
Florida
yeah, but-
might have 2 losses, but Florida's really playing.
But they were a Final Four team last year.
That was last year.
I want to hear
We're in
him
the new
argue.
season
See,
this
that's
year.
not an argument. You're a debater. Put out some facts.
Yeah.
You debater?
Yeah.
Well, next.
And my point here, hold it, on coaches, Bill Cowher won a Super Bowl, and then the next year he was 8-8. Now, Tomlin took over, and what did he do? Take him to the Super Bowl? With an 8-8 team. So all you guys that are Cowher lovers,
In his second season, he took
right,
him to
right.
the Super Bowl.
But my thing is, he graduated with an 8-8 team. Now, do you guys think that's a winning
Did
record?
your dad ever hand you the keys to a Cadillac?
He didn't own one, but my uncle did, and I drove it.
Well, you know, I mean, to speak
And that
to-
point doesn't make
to-
it. But my point is, you can like the guy, and if
speak
you
to
have a
Zach's
personal
point,
thing,
you know, here's what Clint Hurdle inherited as manager of the.
I don't
Pirates.
care. I like
The
Dylan
worst,
Hurdle.
the worst team in baseball.
Hold it, Jim.
20
We're
grand.
on the bad teams.
No, no. I'm talking.
What?
Dan Bilesma has taken the, you know, and I'm having issues with the Penguins right now because I think that, you know, just having a team that has a great regular season and doesn't produce any hardware in the playoffs, that act is getting a little old here. And I think that this Penguin team, with all the talent they have and all the money they've spent on it, you know, is seriously underachieving. And I think it's about time that, you know what, the fans of Pittsburgh call them out. It's the highest price ticket in town, and they're not delivering on what their promise is. And what is their promise by keeping Crosby, Malkin, and et al.? It's championships, and we're not seeing them.
Well, part of what you guys miss, what they did is they created a brand. They have the #1 fan base in the country. They have the #1 TV base in the country in hockey. That's what they wanted. How did they do it? They have a base of these great players. Sure, they gave a few away. They have a coach who has a system that, to me, he's so stubborn, that system should be thrown out every so often. But they're not going to because they have a brand here. They like making the money. They like interacting with all the young fans because this is a young fan team, basically. And you see that at the
Yeah,
games.
but you know the funny thing is the young fans are the ones that can't afford to go to the games unless you're a corporation, and you know, I mean,
Most of their
But
most of
they
their
own-
parents.
But they only have about, 18,000 people that you can put in there. It makes a huge difference compared to the Steelers. And that makes a difference.
But I mean, that's
And that's part of what it is. Now, Bilesma took over a team that was losing when he come here, if you remember. Weren't they losing? Then he got them on a streak. He had a great group of players that knew how to play defense by Michael Terrian. So they took that, and he put his system in there with the scoring and keep going forward. Well, all these guys were 5 years younger. Don't you like to run down and shoot goals and shoot the puck in the net? That's what he did. Now, he's still playing the same system as you allude to. Well, guess what? Other teams have beat us each time with that. And the other thing that we forget, if you don't have the horses that can score goals, get touchdowns, catch the ball, and whatever sport you want to put out there, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
And that's part of what's going on.
but-
We can argue about our
We
opinion
can
on who
argue
we
it all
like
day,
better
but
as a
when you've got a
coach.
power play that can put Kunitz, Crosby, Malkin, and Neal out on the ice and they can't score
Sure.
goals, I mean, it's
Well,
just,
that's the players.
you know,
This just in,
What happened?
in the month of February leading up to the tournament, Wichita State has played the likes of Evansville, Indiana State. Shout out to Larry Bird. Even I know that in my young
And he's
age.
old. He wore short
Southern
pants.
Illinois, Evansville again, Loyola, Drake, and Bradley. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
that Bradley's been in there in the top 4.
I mean, I understand
Come
they might
on.
have had a good run last year in
Come on,
March
Z.
Madness, but this is a whole new year and a whole new tournament,
That is their conference that they play in. That is a Division 1A conference.
and it's a joke. And they will never be number one in that conference. It's just like the same argument when you get these other teams out in the WAC that go undefeated or whatever, and they don't give them the number one.
But
You
we'll
mean
tell
in
even if
football?
Alabama-
You're saying in
In
football.
college football,
Yeah.
even if
We're
Alabama
mixing all
had one
kind of
loss.
sports.
I
up.
will tell you this. The one thing that I like about the March Madness and the NCAA tournament is that it's not the most powerful conferences that win championships. I mean, you look at the teams that go. You see David slaying Goliath all the time, and that's why I really like. To me, it's the true essence of sportsmanship there, because you know what, high-priced players are having all the stars on your team. Five guys that will never make their living as professional basketball players can defeat just about anybody if they play in a well-coached system. And
You guys ought to enter that poll. I heard if you do all the brackets and get it perfect, you win $1 billion.
Warren Buffett, and that's no relation to Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, he is. He
often-
actually is. They found out that I know because I've read a few books on Warren Buffett. They actually are related, like about fifth cousins down the line or
Really?
something. They even hang out once in a while because Jimmy Buffett is a heck of a businessman.
I wonder who picks up the tab.
Hey, Jimmy Buffett has no problem doing it, buddy. He's
I
a
know.
multi-millionaire.
He prints money, man.
Look, he even had his beer at the Miami, stadium there? That was
Jimmy Buffett.
It
he
Landshark
sings.
beer
Yeah,
down there at
Landshark
Miami
beer.
Stadium.
Landshark Lager.
He's a famous singer that talks about it's 5 o'clock
You
somewhere.
never heard like Margaritaville?
I heard of Margaritaville.
Okay.
That's it.
Then you've heard of Jimmy Buffett.
Okay.
And he doesn't wear shoes during his concerts.
Really?
Yeah, bare feet.
Human feet.
Wow.
And that's enough of some trivia way off the post here. It's out there. Well, we got to go to our SIPS Sports Bar. We covered that revisitation and more. I don't know what subjects we've missed on it. We added a few in there. At SIPS Sports Bar, Monday night is Pittsburgh Sports Line night, and they didn't have the best meatball hoagies there last night, although the other people could buy it. And that we get some of the greatest service there. They even had a cake there they were giving out. Our man Kamikaze Kid was giving us a slice of cake.
Good stuff.
We had T-shirts from SIP Sports Bar. Shout out to Kamikaze Kid. I'm still looking for my 2. Can you get a close-up of Smoking Jim in that new T-shirt? Look at that. He didn't have to do laundry today. What's up, Z?
Well, I have
You
another.
still have another thing on St. Joe's?
More late breaking news for Mr. Hayner. Mr. David versus Goliath. I'm looking at all the champions. Louisville won last year, and the runner-up was Michigan. It was Kentucky and Kansas. I mean, Butler is about as close as you're going to get on this list in the last 2 decades of anybody. Of any.
You mean for
of a
number
sm-
1 in the whole country?
Of a small program winning the whole thing. Like it's not been done. All these guys are powerhouses. They're some of the best basketball teams of my age in college basketball. I'm not seeing anybody. Houston in 84.
You went to 84 already.
That's how far down.
That's
I'm
30
going.
years ago.
Seton Hall in 89 was a runner-up, but I'm not
How
seeing
about the
any-
year before you were born,
How
83?
about the year that NC State beat Houston? Major underdog. How about the year that Villanova beat Georgetown? A huge underdog.
It's not showing that in there.
Yeah,
It's way down there.
You don't know how to process the information.
It's way down there.
He's just going by the final.
These
He's
things
going-
are
he's
way
going by
down
his
there.
age. He wasn't even. Well, yeah, he was.
Jim
Barely.
Valvano,
He was
we're
still being
like,
Bono
we're
fan at the
way
time,
down
so he
there.
wasn't watching the games.
I mean, I'm just saying, to your argument of Wichita State,
I just hope they win it.
There's nobody in those lakes that has ever won the whole thing. I mean, so you made it to the top 4. Congratulations. I mean, who cares? You didn't win the national
cares?
title.
They wouldn't
Who
pit.
cares? I think the other 127 teams in Division 1A cared.
If I'd rather lose in the first round
And
than make it all the
We're
way to
gonna
the
have
Final
to
Four
pass
and
on
lose.
this to agree to disagree because I at least want to get this Sip Sports Bar segment over. Tuesday night Campedes. Hello to the Campedes. 50 cents a slice. Wednesday night, I don't know what they do. Thursday night's wing night. Friday night's entertainment. Saturday night's entertainment.
Seafood
Sunday,
Sunday.
they got the Seafood Sunday
Yeah.
specials. I got to make it there. If we're not getting a foot of snow, I'm going to try to be there.
Let's do it.
Let's do it this week. Maybe you'll see more people than Smoking Jim Frazier from Pittsburgh Sportsline. Maybe the rest of us will try to show up there. $3 specials on those Seafood Sunday specials. So, and that's it for Sip Sports Bar. Come on out this week. Monday night, I'm supposed to have Coach Munns, Jerry Mancini, the head coach at Keystone Oaks back when I graduated, I'll say it, 74. And my offensive line coach, Coach Ding Dong Murray. He's going to come out there. So, and we got MMA guys coming out, Gladiators of the Cage. They're going to be out there. The owner of Gladiators of the Cage and the matchmaker. They're finalizing that deal. We have an MMA lady who's going to fight. Jamie's her name, and I think Chesney's her last name, so we'll see her. We got a singer who's going to start the show off with a song, Smoking Jim, Kia Star. And then, on top of all these all-stars, we got the announcer, Dom, for the Pittsburgh Power.
Wow.
So we got a bunch of people there, and that's who we're thinking is going to show up. We may have a couple more surprises, so
You never know.
come on out to Sips on Monday night about 7:30. Check it out.
China's been hitting around. She wants to come.
China, you have an open invite. When I first met you, I told you I was doing a show. You just call me. You can call me on my cell phone, 412-973-9611, anytime.
Don't call Jim.
Vegas is reporting the Buccos will win 83 games this year. That's the
I
line.
heard the
That's what
over-under was 84.
Well, it's just gone up to 84, folks. One up.
And
That's
these
how
are
quick it
eight,
changes in Vegas.
this is the upbreak.
Macaroni Tony.
And I'll take the over.
See the news that you get on here? You can't keep up with it all. Hey, Easy E, when you're working with Zach Brenner, whatever you were giving him today, back off about 30, 40%, please. Don't give him any more of that, okay? Whatever it is, because it made him too smart tonight. He's just too smart, and I appreciate it. Now we're going to go to, these segments are pretty much in concrete, just so you know, the next three. The first one is Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And I tell you what, I was watching the Pitt game last night, and they were up by 12 when I left Sip Sports Bar, so I was kind of surprised to hear that Pitt lost. But anyhow,
Why? What? Excuse me, I'm choking on something. Can I have one of these
Yes,
Tic Tacs?
sir.
Thanks. Just like Pitt. Okay.
Speaking of basketball, my little fiction and fact from
Thank you.
Smoking Jim's Almanac goes all the way back to this past weekend. I was at the
That far back.
That far back, I was at the Duquesne Palumbo Center, and for most of the day, I was sitting next to Charlie Batch's wife at courtside, and then later on in the evening game, I
When's
was
she going to
sitting-
be on the show?
Who? Whose
And
wife? Did you just say Charlie,
Charlie
Batts'
Batch's
wife?
yeah.
Oh,
and,
man.
And Charlie was there as well.
Notice he didn't mention his name.
And,
What up,
and,
Chuck?
and also,
Because Smoking Jim was doing the pose.
and later on in the evening, I got to sit next to my good friend Jamie Dixon and Big Ben Roethlisberger. So it was a great day. A shout out to Newcastle. Newcastle finished the season 26-0. They beat Hampton, and Hampton has some twins on her team,
The Luthers.
But they're
twins.
soft.
And 6'8" Luther is going to University of Pittsburgh.
That's
Colin,
not
I'm
good.
not sure if he'll go D1. But Hampton only lost 4 games all season. 3 of them was to Newcastle. And Newcastle is the only team in WPIL history to finish a regular season 3 years in a row undefeated in the WPIL and win the championship. And all 3 years they beat Hampton. So after the game, I went into the losing locker room, and I figured since they lost to Newcastle 3 straight times, they wouldn't be that broken up. So I talked to Ryan Luther and had to ask him a critical question because don't forget, in 2014, Newcastle won the Quad A championship. 2013, Newcastle won the Quad A championship. 2012, Newcastle won the Triple A championship. So I asked Luther, you guys stayed at Double A, Triple A in 2012. Were you ducking the great Gateway Dynasty, who won back-to-back-to-back in
Is
basketball?
that a surprise?
And Luther, a little upset wearing the silver around his neck. He said he's not sure the reason why. He says they were quite aware of Gateway's great teams. And he says he didn't know what went into the reasoning to move up for them in Newcastle. Once Gateway seniors retired, they all decided to move up. But so I think you got to put an asterisk by Newcastle. And also, if Newcastle does not win a state championship this year, I think Newcastle has to go down as an overrated team. And that's what's on my mind.
I can't straighten out what was fiction and what was fact on
It's
that
more
one.
and more
All
difficult
fact,
every week
all
to
fact.
differentiate between the two.
We'll have a ruling on that later, maybe by the end of the show. Let me think about
Call
it.
in, please.
Now, one of the other favorite segments of the show is Chip's Trivia Time.
Okay. Because my friend over here, Zach, he's all over me about the Wichita State team. But you know what? Something that we could potentially witness happen here this year has not happened since 1976.
Wow, I remember
what
that year.
happened in 1976 was Bobby Knight took the Indiana Hoosiers to the national title with an undefeated record. And that was the last time that a team has gone undefeated in a season in the NCAA and won the title. And I just wanted to kind of run down the list of some of the other teams that have won national titles with an undefeated record. You've got the 1954 Kentucky team, who ended up 25-0. 1956, San Francisco University.
With Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, 29-0. 1957, the North Carolina team, 32-0. And then we have a streak of 4 times this happened with the Wizard of Westwood, who the great John Wooden. He won. He ended up at 30-0 in 4 seasons. 1964. 1967 with a little-known center at the time by the name of Lou Alcindor, who became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Really?
And back-to-back undefeated championship seasons with the great Bill Walton in 1972 and 1973. So, I'm pulling to see. I would love to see another undefeated champion this year, because these kind of things don't happen but once in a lifetime.
38 years ago. if my
38
math is
years ago.
correct.
Now, there have been 4 Division II and 3 Division III teams to go undefeated, and the 2 Division II team, or 3 Division IIs, as Evansville was 29-0 way back in 1965. 1993, Cal State Bakersfield was 33-0. 1996, Fort Hays State. And everybody's favorite, the University of Findlay in 2009, ended up 36-0. The Division III teams were SUNY Potsdam, and that's State University of New York in Potsdam. And Wisconsin Platteville was twice undefeated champions in 1995 and 1998. But I just thought that was kind of interesting trivia, and I think, you know what, that's what I'm going to look for, and I'm going to root for in this year's NCAA tournament because I think the field's wide open this year.
I want to see
don't
your
think there
brackets.
is.
Now,
I
who
want to see your
remembers-
brackets.
I can't, I'm punchy. I can't remember
At least you're
the
honest.
exact year, but who remembers when Coppin State, they did the unthinkable? I think it might have been the last time that it was played at the Civic Arena.
Yeah.
Coppin, there was
Had a
like,
black coach, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
no, I thought he was white.
He was from Gateway. I mean, his family was. Maybe you didn't check that out. Check your phone. That smartphone's getting dumb. Here, call my phone to have your phones on.
But the only thing that
Thanks,
would
Chip.
make it really
Thanks,
hard.
Chip.
The other thing that would make it really hard this year is the teams that I had talked about that won championships, they won 30 or 31 games. But this year, if you want to try to win a championship, you're going to have to end up going something like 40 or 41-0, which would make it a much more of a spectacular feat to play
it's
that
more
many
impressive.
games and not lose.
And to honor John Wooden, I mean, there was some amazing players that he coached and had the likes of out
How
there.
many
Don't you think he
championships did he-
made those players? I would think. I mean,
Well, I always wondered, is there the
He
chicken
recruited
first or is the egg first? Is the coach first or is the player first? It helps for argument's sake.
You got to have talent, Anybody could nurture talent, but if you don't
but
have
not
they
anybody
can't.
can coach talent.
no, they can't. We're still watching fine examples of it right here in our beloved city.
We've heard that.
well, with the Penguins, the Steelers
All right,
are
we're
just-
going to another segment. We got these two segments. We got a new segment. I've renamed it in honor of Zach Brenner from Z Time on Monday night. Since we don't have the graphics here, we got two great cameramen, John the Tiger Kiger, and we
Rookie
got
of the
George.
year.
Well, it's a new year.
how's he the rookie?
They didn't vote on it yet. Just so you know, the voting's coming in, and your man, there aren't a lot of votes because you didn't get the vote yet. You're holding your vote back. I don't know why. John, he's holding it back. If he put a vote in, there might be a tie right now. I got all the statistics. I'll give them to you later here. But we'll handle that. Let's hear what's on Z's mind on Z Time.
Well, folks,
Gee.
don't change that dial. I just wanted to take a second to remind you folks about Brenner Contracting. Chip Hayner is kindly displaying one of my
Hold it.
one of
Flag
my
on the
shirts.
play.
We got a flag on the play, but that flag just happens to be just another great marketing tool
give me that back.
by the genius from Homestead, Pennsylvania.
I got some electrical work for you at my house.
Yeah, I bet.
Is it like is it like that snow shoveling?
At Brenner Contracting, we strive to do cash jobs with real money. With real money, we don't have financing or IOUs in place.
Will you accept a check?
We'll take a check, but there's a $50 bounce check fee that's mandatory. It's coming back.
Now
In
that
all
we took care of the
in all
business.
seriousness, contact Brenner Contracting for all your
You have a
home
number?
improvement needs.
Because they didn't get a close-up on that.
412-583-5047. Or just call us here in the studio, 412-831-3304.
But do it now because after 8 o'clock, nobody's going to answer.
Well, you can still call.
No, they're not going to answer on this
Yeah,
phone.
nobody's
going
to call, but, we'll call tomorrow and talk to somebody. If
Dave
you don't get through
Cable.
tonight. Yeah, call Dave Cable,
Dave
folks.
Cable will appreciate
Let
it.
him
He's
know.
only going to charge Z about $20 each time for each phone call.
Hey, that's fine. Just let them know how much you love the show and how much you love me and appreciate
All
me.
right, what's on your mind already? I can't wait. The suspense here. What's Z Time going on here?
Well, since I, gave a lot of kindness to the Buccos, they're still doing really well down there in the Grapefruit League. But what remains to be seen is if they're going to top the 84 win mark as predicted in Las Vegas this season, the betting odds. They won, 93? How many?
Four.
They won 94.
Not counting playoffs.
They won 94 games last year and ended the curse, the dreaded curse, over there at PNC Park. Great stadium. I love watching baseball there in the park. I don't really pay attention too much to the
You ever
to
eat
the
there?
game. No, I don't really eat at PNC Park too much. I mean, it's ballpark food. You get get that best meatball hoagie at Sip Sports Bar. Why would you go eat at PNC Park?
What else
But-
on Z Time?
But on Z Time, on another thing too, like I said, the Penguins really need to make a move, and I'm not sure that it needs to be with the roster. like I said, for some reason, Dan Bosman is just having a hard time, like Mike Tomlin. Even though it's two different kind of sports, the premise is still the same. Sometimes you got to, kick the right butts and get people in the line. And if you're trying to be everybody's friend, it doesn't always work out that way. You could ask me over at Brunner Contracting. I work with a lot of my friends. And sometimes, it's business. And I got to, kick a few butts. And I'm sorry, to those guys at home watching and how they feel about me. But all I'm trying to do is win.
You want to shout out to any of those guys for respect?
Yeah, we'll shout out. We got Easy E, Jet Kill, Little Ron, Aaron Dunham, Al Levine's all-time favorite employee of Brunner Contracting. Got to say hi to my mom. Wish my little sister Bristol another happy birthday shout-out. That's it for you for the rest of the year. Don't ask me for anything. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. I'll talk to you later. That's pretty much all that's on my mind for this evening.
I'm glad you got to cover 6 different subjects because you kept it to only a couple on the first one. And that's why we have Z time. Now, I wanted to go right to Pitt basketball because Jamie Dixon's not going to lose his job. That's what's going on. But he's playing like a head coach that is worried about his job. And his interviews are terrible. His game clock management is like Tomlin, who has never been good at it. And even some of you guys that love Cowher over the years was very weak on the timeouts. They just couldn't get it. And there's some coaches that don't. But it hurts when your team is just above mediocre with some of these plays. You can't call a timeout when a guy's driving for the hoop. Well, you can't call a timeout when you're helping the other team's offensive scheme.
Here's what, they played Notre Dame on Saturday. And, they beat them in double overtime. And they rebounded like a bunch of demons, okay? They definitely dominated the boards in the game against Notre Dame. Last night, against the inferior team, they come up with 2 offensive rebounds. How do you get 2 offensive rebounds in an entire
the whole game?
The entire game, 2 offensive rebounds. And, the Pitt team, it needs to out-rebound its opponents. They don't do a very good job of putting the ball back in the hole when they do get offensive rebounds.
That's why they get a lot of offensive rebounds.
They've got Clemson coming up on Saturday. And, it's another game that, Pitt could very, very easily lose and drop down further on the list. And, I'm afraid that Pitt may not even be selected into the tournament if they have a really poor showing in the ACC tournament.
Well, I'm disappointed in them, but they're going to beat Clemson and lock up the 5th position.
Now let me ask you guys this. Last night, that guy for NC State, he dropped 41 points in a college basketball game. At the same time, my good buddy LeBron James was busy at work dropping 64. On 61?
Yeah.
Oh, it was 61.
That for you.
Oh, you posted that for me?
Yeah.
I wasn't on my phone today. I was working.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, folks. But LeBron James posted 61. So what is more impressive, to drop 61 in an NBA basketball game or 41 points in a college basketball game where the
41 in a college game because they actually played defense.
And Pitt was all over him. We watched some of it after the game. They were all over this kid. Unstoppable.
Still the greatest basketball player of all time played for NC State. You know who that was? David Thompson.
Boy, could he get above a rim. He could get his elbows above that rim. He levitated. Go look at some of those old videos.
His royal airness hails out of the University of North Carolina.
Well, if you know, here's a little trivia.
Smoking Jim's trivia time.
Who was the guy that introduced Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan picked to introduce him when he went into the Hall of Fame? It was David Thompson, because Michael Jordan said he grew up idolizing David Thompson, even though he went to North Carolina State.
And did not David Thompson, if my memory serves me correct, he shunned the NBA and signed with the Denver Nuggets of the ABA, and went to the
it might have been a bad move.
I don't think so.
The money, they couldn't pass that money.
The money was good.
Yeah.
No,
but he might have had
so you're telling me that Jamie Dixon, his job is on the line, but my question is, who's going to come in, and do a better job than Jamie Dixon right now? Because you really don't have anything what do you really have to sell to sell these kids on, to come to Pittsburgh instead of going to some of the other bigger powerhouses?
I think that is an excellent question, and that begs me to ask the question, why does Pitt not do things to make themselves more attractive to not only prospective athletes, but to fans? And the point that I'm trying to make here is that last year over here at the Bethel Park High School, the Pitt had their blue and gold game in the spring, and they do this every year, and then the major colleges do it, Alabama and Texas, and they sell out their stadiums, okay? But these are teams that have successful programs that play before sold-out crowds all the time. Well, being that we don't have that problem here because, not many people go to watch Pitt play, so to garner interest, we're going to do away with the spring football game, to try to get people around here excited. I guess the university is really happy playing in front of a quarter-filled Heinz Field.
Now you're talking football, sure.
Sure.
Well, you know why? Because it's about money. Why would you work a deal out where you're in a pro football stadium? It's about the money.
Well, yeah, but I thought if you put fannies in the seats, the people paid money for
You
those
also,
seats and brought more money.
they
to the
also
university.
guaranteed themselves by aligning themselves with the UPMC and the Steelers. You have access to that top of the line
Yes.
facility on the south side. You play on a field, that is pro football stadium for all intents and
But
purposes.
how are you going to draw? I mean, you can't even get your own people that live in your own town to watch your team play.
Well, Chip makes an excellent point. First of all, I've never heard of a Division I or a Division II team that doesn't play a spring football game. A lot of your Division III teams aren't allowed to play spring football. That's the only reason they don't do it. It's a shame because the spring game is a celebration. If Pitt was on their P's and Q's, first of all, they wouldn't have hired a guy that couldn't. If Paul Chris was manure, he couldn't draw flies. That's the first. That's the problem. He can't recruit. The decisions that he make is horrible. They should be a Division I AA team pretty soon with the poor talent that they're getting in. First of all, what you do as a program, it's a celebration for your recruits. So now your PR is public relations. You're relating your Pitt public to the new incoming recruits, and you're showcasing recruits that you want to recruit in the future. There's an excellent stadium right across the river that's not being used right now, the River Hounds in the Passion Stadium. That would be perfect. People would sell that place out. It don't take that many to sell it out just to go to see that beautiful new stadium. You got the great parking. You got the parents coming in. You got the fans coming in. You got everybody coming in. And now you're canceling a spring game so that you can have one more practice. They had to run that cheesehead back to Wisconsin.
Well, this is what I think. I think they're wasting too much energy celebrating 6-win seasons.
Well, listen, if the basketball program expectations are like the football, I mean, this is the standard is the standard, and this is all they want.
And it's substandard.
They just want
at this
Jamie
point.
Dixon to limp in to the tournament every year. They want Pitt to at least make it to the the Little Caesars Bowl every year.
The BBFYZXL
Compass Bowl, whatever bowl,
Yeah.
just a third tier
vowels.
bowl,
But I
not a
thought
good
the whole
bowl.
idea of moving to the ACC is that they wanted to make more of a national presence of themselves.
Well,
And-
how much money
You're
do
gonna
they
need
get paid with
players.
the TV? Nobody's told me that with the ACC.
Well, they're not
I
getting
didn't
put on
care.
TV.
I didn't care about
Nobody
looking at
watches
that,
them
but
on TV because nobody
Hold
will
it,
come
but
and
it's
watch
like-
them in person.
They divvy up the TV money.
No, they don't, not equally.
A lot of people
Okay,
watch
well, I don't know
Pitt
what it
at the
is,
Pete,
so-
regardless. I mean, that place
They pack
still.
the Pete.
Yeah, the Pete. They still pack the Pete, regardless of how terrible or underachieving they are. That's it's the
No,
only
and,
thing
and,
to
and
do.
Jamie Dixon's defense, the kid that they lost last year, that Steve Adams is doing a pretty good job in the pros. I just wonder what the Pitt basketball team would have been like had he played another year.
That'd have been a little
because
better.
they don't have any presence in the center of the floor.
They didn't play him last year when they had it.
Correct.
He must have played enough to get in the first round of the
Well,
NBA.
anytime
tournament.
You got that size. That's what they look at.
Anytime
That's the
you're
measuring
7
stick.
foot plus and you're athletic, that's what they saw.
But I think it's just the whole thing that you got going there, football and basketball right now, is that you're just happy enough to have a team that comes out and play. And I
Correct.
thought we were trying to win
You
championships.
got to raise
but-
the expectation level in
And
this
then
city.
the basketball team never recruits locally. I mean, they basically, DeJuan Blair was basically a walk-on. I mean,
Correct.
They barely recruited him, and the
He
kid,
didn't have to
And if
recruit
he wouldn't
him. He
have that
wanted
bad,
to
yeah,
play.
he wanted to
probably
play.
would
These
never-
kids grow up wanting to play, and they won't even recruit them locally. That's
Well, in
crazy to
football
me.
they do that. They walk in here. They get deals in football, local kids. You get back to Chris. You guys forget his first year here. He said he wished he had more time to practice when the season started. He was disappointed. So his theme is held true. Now they say he's a great guy. You guys don't listen to these things. This is what he does. And then they say in the locker room he's fantastic and he's great with the players. Now that means he shouldn't be a head coach. You need somebody that can be a general out there and take control of it. So obviously he's missing.
You know, I
the point
think
there.
one of the things that this was a couple of weeks ago at SIPS, and Chaz Bonasorti, a friend of the show, the SIPS Hall of Fame.
Kamikaze Kid.
Kamikaze Kid, and he played on Pitt's last
Shecky.
national championship team. And his brother is the assistant AD down there at Florida State, and he was out in Pasadena, and he watched Florida State. And what he said about Jimbo Miller, and he said the same thing about Nick Saban, is that these coaches had a very keen eye to detail. They were on top of everything, and every practice and every play, nobody was ever allowed to half step it, or if you screwed something up, they did it and they kept doing it and they did it right because they pay very strict attention to detail. And you look at those two programs right there, two premier programs in the whole United States, and we've got a coach that, he just doesn't show the passion. He doesn't show the eye for detail because the same mistakes are being made in the 12th game that are made in the first game, and you're not seeing any level of improvement.
That's true, but we see that theme in most Pittsburgh sports from the pros all the way up here. How do you get the same thing? You're still teaching players. Smoking Jim, you're an NFL scout. How can you still be teaching offensive linemen how to block?
Right.
I don't understand how that is. And we get those same players every year. We've won a Super Bowl with them a couple times. I mean, that to me,
It's
that's
not easy,
incredible.
It's
It's
not
incredible.
easy.
Just like when you come to the pros, aren't you some of the best players in the
Right.
country?
That's right.
I mean, in theory. And we have to show them what
Well,
to
they
play.
didn't
Now,
start
there's some
keeping-
differences.
Until '99, they didn't start keeping track of the statistics that they keep track of in the combine. So from '99 back, they really didn't keep track of like 40 times
You know
of
what,
vertical.
Well, that 40 time you can throw away.
Bench
I don't
press.
care
I'm-
about it. I want 10
I
yards.
think the most overrated bunch of BS is the combine and what goes on there. I mean, really, do you want to find out how a guy plays football? Watch the tapes. They've got how many games on tape. You watch what happens there because they go to the combine. They train specifically for the few activities that they're going to do. They're going to do a 40-yard dash. They're going to work on their bench press. But that doesn't necessarily mean because you can bench press 225 pounds 40 times that you're a great football player. It means all you can do.
Well, it'll sure help.
It's
The
gonna,
thing
you know
is,
what? It's
it'll
gonna
help.
help. You're strong. You're athletic. You're physical. You're not gonna break down. Quickly. I would love to take a guy that can. bench press
take for
40
example
times,
Johnny
225.
Football. Okay, here's a guy that's trying out to be a quarterback in the NFL. Well, I'm not going to throw. That's like having a running back saying, "I'm not going to
Well,
run."
no, he's not
You know what
throwing
I
at
mean?
the combine,
Well, I'm
but
gonna
he's
have
going
an
to
offensive
throw.
lineman, and
He's
I'm
going
not
to
gonna
throw.
block.
He's going to throw at pro day for Texas A&M. He's going to throw at the pro day.
But that's okay. He's drinking beer and he's chugging Skittles. I mean, are you going to throw after you have all that beer and Skittles? I mean, his dad said as much.
Johnny Football's a winner.
We'll see.
I
He may
take
be
him on
he
my
may
team
be the
until-
biggest bust in this draft.
Wow. I think we may
I
have some
think Teddy
bets on this
Bridgewater
now.
might be a bust over Johnny Manziel because there's always a factor that even Smoking Jim as a scout knows that you can't measure, and that's heart. And they can't, they could dissect you all they want in Indianapolis at the scouting combine, but one thing they cannot gauge and can't scout is your heart. So
Yeah, no, but this is a kid that was born with that silver spoon in his mouth. He's never really had to work for anything in his life.
well, we'll
He
see how
likes
bad he
to
wants
win,
it. Yeah, we'll see how bad he
He
wants
We
likes
it.
to
all
win.
like to win.
Yeah, but he's done it. He doesn't win all. He needs some players around him, too.
Oh, I see. It's somebody else's fault.
How's that somebody else's fault? You can't win every game without a team. There's no I in team. Now you're sounding like you're crazy. Were you drinking beer and eating Skittles? Because that's what Johnny Manziel was saying. What's going on
Strictly
here?
Diet Coke.
in those Skittles? I saw you have some chocolate.
Peppermint patty or two.
He was having that. He's off his game. All right, we touched on the Steelers a little bit. What's going on with the Steelers here, buddy? What's it looking like for the draft? Any inside word here?
Well, I've been getting my information from Chip lately, but I tell you what.
Let's cut this. Can we cut this part of the show?
But never mind. Ask me.
The Pittsburgh Steelers' direction that they're going, they have no idea. Defensively, there's some holes, at free safety. They're losing a free safety. But I would move the kid up Shamarko because you gave up a third round this year to move up in the fourth round last year to get him. So you should give him an opportunity to play. You just tendered Worley, and you're going to have to do something. And you're going to have to do something. You're probably going to have to do something. Yeah, Tim Worley's still snorting, but you're probably going to have to do something eventually with Hayward. So you can't put too much money into your defense, and I think Troy Polamalu is retiring after next year. He won't extend his contract. This is last year's contract. That tells me he's probably going to retire. Offensively, you got to take care of Big Ben. I think you got to bring in a big wide receiver if he's available.
You mean he needs another guy to help him?
Yeah.
That's an excuse. Why is it okay with Smoking Jim to say that? I thought that's an excuse. Why does he need a big receiver?
He likes big receivers. Okay. He prefers
How
big
about
receivers.
Plax is begging to come back. I mean, not your girlfriend, Plax. Michelle's the best.
No.
But Plax with the Steelers.
He's as fragile.
Plex's day has come and gone.
He's begging to come back.
Yeah, but he's not the athlete he was 10 years ago.
He shot himself.
Yeah, really, he did.
Not even going to speak to that one.
He did, in a bar. Don't carry a gun in your shorts.
That's what they make holsters for.
And there's another football player, I think, that pulled his gun on his girlfriend or something up in New York, or somebody. A basketball player, maybe.
Yes, it was.
It was Felton.
Yeah.
For the Knicks.
Okay.
And he's still playing
not
basketball.
Not to mention about Ray Rice without having the leadership of Ray Lewis.
Ray Boom Boom Mancini Rice. Huh?
Ooh, yeah. He likes to hit women.
And we're not for domestic violence. That was sickening to be punching out your fiance in an elevator.
One hitter quitter.
Unbelievable.
Tough guys.
They did drag her. That was
he
might have got away with it if he had carried her to the room.
He's a juicer.
He'd have got away if he didn't get out of the elevator.
He's on that deer antler. He's on that deer antler extract.
There's no way he should be away for a while. I don't think he's
freaking out down there in Baltimore.
And she's a beautiful girl. I googled her. Oh my goodness, she's beautiful.
And John Harbaugh had enough. I don't like either of the Harbaughs, to be very honest with you. But John Harbaugh says I can't see a scenario where he won't be playing for me next year. Okay,
I can see it.
Knocked his girlfriend colder in a mackerel, and he's going to start for me next year.
Wow.
Oh, we're winding down.
That shows you this show's almost over.
We're winding down.
These opinions are of the hosts here. They'll back them up. Just meet them outside, and if you have a great argument, they're just going to work around it. They don't care the facts. They'll change them. They'll mold them into their own thing, and that's what I have to say. They don't need another word on any of this. I'm glad we're getting a close-up of me at the end on a rant. We're running this down. Thanks for the great camera work tonight. Thanks, Little Z. Thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier. Chip the Prophet Hayner. Thanks for your predictions and your one-sidedness on opinions. That it's an excuse by me, but it's not an excuse by Smoking Jim.
And
with that note, I'm just kidding.
I reserve the right to be difficult.
Okay. And you resemble that remark, and thanks for watching the show, guys. We'll be back next week, same time, 7 o'clock Tuesday night.
That channel.
Have a nice night. Be safe out there.